No one warned us that one of the richest countries in modern history would turn into a place where a piece of bread can be worth more than a stack of cash. What you're about to hear may sound exaggerated, but it's real life. A land where billions of dollars in oil lie beneath the ground while people fight over food in the streets. A country where the word survival stopped being a metaphor and became a daily routine. We're talking about Venezuela. There's something deeply disturbing about walking through a land blessed with almost infinite natural resources and at the same time feeling the constant weight of scarcity. Venezuela is not just a country in crisis, it is a living paradox, a place where the past promised eternal wealth and the present charges too high a price for every decision made. Here, nothing is simple. Nothing is black and white. Everything is excess, including suffering. Few people know that during much of the 20th century, Venezuela was seen as the future of Latin America. While other countries struggled to industrialize, oil gushed from the Venezuelan soil as if it were an inexhaustible source. Cities grew rapidly, highways cut across the country, modern buildings rose in Caracas, and money seemed to have no end. The country became a destination for European immigrants who were fleeing poverty and war. Italians, Spanish, Portuguese, all believed that there existed a land of opportunity, and in a way, there truly was. In the next part, we're going to go back in time. We'll understand how Venezuela went from being one of the most prosperous countries in the region to becoming one of the greatest economic collapses in modern history. Decisions, characters, promises, and mistakes that changed the fate of an entire nation, and that still echo every day in the lives of millions of people. There was a time when the question wasn't whether wealth would reach Venezuela, but how it would be spent. Money was coming in too fast, in such enormous amounts that it seemed impossible to run out. The country lived with a collective sense of invincibility. Few people know this, but throughout the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, Venezuela had one of the strongest currencies in the world. The bolivar was respected. Traveling abroad was common. Importing goods was easy. The future seemed assured. Caracas, the capital, became a showcase. Modern skyscrapers, wide avenues, luxury hotels, well-funded universities. Renowned architects were designing a city that wanted to look European, American, global. The phrase, "It's cheap, take two," became a symbol of an era when money seemed endless. It wasn't just prosperity, it was excess. Oil changed everything. When it was discovered on a large scale in the early 20th century, no one imagined the impact it would have. In a few years, Venezuela went from being an agricultural country to becoming an energy giant. Multinationals arrived, wells were drilled, refineries were built. The world came to depend on that dark, viscous soil. Over time, resentment began to grow as well. The feeling that the country was producing wealth but didn't control its own destiny. That idea kept maturing, gaining strength in political discourse, until in the 1970s, the state decided to take full control of oil. The nationalization was celebrated as an act of sovereignty. Now, they said, the wealth would finally belong to the people. And for a while, it seemed to work. In the next part, we're going to step into the real life of the streets, into the daily routine of those who stayed. How people eat, how they work, how they get sick, and how they survive in a country where money has lost its meaning and normal life has disappeared. The crisis did not knock on Venezuela's door all at once. It crept in slowly, almost asking for permission, until it sat down on the couch and never left. Today, it wakes up with the people, sleeps with them, and follows every everyday decision, It's not an extraordinary event. It's the permanent backdrop of life. The day starts early, very early, not for productivity, but out of necessity. Anyone who wants to buy food has to wake up before sunrise because you never know when the product will show up or how long it will last. Lines form without warning. Sometimes there isn't even certainty about what will be sold. People get in line first and ask questions later. That's how you live when predictability disappears. Supermarkets, when they still have products, display uneven shelves. One aisle full of rice, another completely empty. There's no logic, no pattern, no trust. Prices change from one day to the next, sometimes from 1 hour to the next. The local currency has become almost symbolic. People count stacks of bills, but they know that all that volume doesn't represent security. The minimum wage doesn't cover a basic food basket. It doesn't even cover a single week of regular meals. That's why almost everyone has developed side strategies, informal jobs, odd gigs, bartering, improvised street selling. The official economy shrank. The survival economy grew. In the next part, we're going to look beyond the visible crisis. We'll speak about the culture that resists, the role of women, traditions, music, and the identity that insists on surviving even when everything around collapses. Because despite everything, Venezuela still breathes. Even when everything seems to fall apart, there is something that doesn't break easily: identity. In Venezuela, culture is not just heritage, it is shelter. It's what prevents the crisis from turning people into mere numbers or statistics. Amid scarcity, uncertainty, and fear, Venezuelans cling to what still makes sense: music, food, humor, faith, and, above all, human bonds. Few people know that in the hardest moments, culture tends to grow more intense. Not as celebration, but as an affirmation of existence. In modest homes, you can still hear loud music. Caribbean rhythms, salsa, merengue, popular songs that speak of love, longing, and resistance. Music fills the silence left behind by power outages, by the radio turned off, by the muted television. Food, even when limited, remains a ritual. The arepa, simple and symbolic, still sits at the center of the table. Sometimes filled only with whatever there is, other times almost empty. Even so, it represents continuity. Cooking has become an exercise in extreme creativity. Recipes were reinvented, ingredients were replaced. The flavor changed, but the gesture remains. Women play a central role in this silent resistance. They are the ones who hold up the emotional daily life of families. Mothers, grandmothers, daughters who manage scarcity, organize lines, care for the sick, improvise meals, and many times take on alone the financial responsibility of the home. In many cases, they are also the ones who stay, while children and husbands leave in search of work outside the country. In the next part, we're going to talk about what few people show: the curiosities, the absurd contrasts, the unlikely tourism, the places of extreme beauty in a wounded country, and the challenges that make this scenario as contradictory as fascinating.
There is a contrast in Venezuela that borders on the surreal. While everyday life is marked by scarcity, the land holds some of the most spectacular landscapes on the planet. It's as if nature completely ignored human collapse. It remains there, lush, intact, almost provocative, a constant reminder of what the country could be and what it still is, despite everything. Angel Falls plunges from the top of a flat-topped mountain like an endless thread of water, slicing through the air for nearly a kilometer. In Canaina, the jungle seems to breathe on its own, indifferent to the economic crisis. In the Caribbean archipelagos, like Los Roques, the sea keeps its impossible blue, the sands remain white, and the silence contrasts with the urban chaos. These are places that feel unreal, especially when you remember they belong to a country where food and electricity are missing. Tourism, however, has become the exception, not because there's a lack of beauty, but because there are too many obstacles. Poor infrastructure, canceled flights, empty airports, closed hotels. Many of these natural paradises are practically abandoned, only accessible to a few adventurers or to those who have resources and connections. It's ghost tourism with enormous potential and minimal reality. In the cities, the contrasts are even more brutal. In Caracas, wealthy neighborhoods remain standing, protected by high walls and private security. Sophisticated restaurants operate for those who pay in dollars. Expensive cars circulate on potholed avenues. A few kilometers away, entire communities live without constant water, without stable electricity, without access to basic services. Two worlds coexisting in the same space, almost without touching. In the next and final part, we're going to face the question that echoes inside and outside the country. Is there a way out? What does the future hold for a nation so rich, so wounded, and so resilient? And what does Venezuela teach us about power, choices, and consequences?
There is a question that echoes in every whispered conversation, in every silent line, in every hurried farewell made in Venezuela. A simple question, almost childlike, but laden with immense weight. Will this get better? No one answers with certainty. Some avert their gaze. Others smile without conviction. There are those who still believe with strength. There are those who just wait. Venezuela's future is not a straight line. It is a tangle of interrupted possibilities, unfinished attempts, and postponed expectations. The country didn't collapse all at once, and perhaps because of that, it won't rebuild quickly either. Every change comes with distrust, every promise with memory, because here the past is still very close. Politically, the situation remains unstable. Weakened institutions, concentrated power, little dialogue. For the average citizen, those words feel distant, abstract. What matters is whether there will be electricity tomorrow, whether the salary will be enough to eat, whether the medicine will show up. Politics stopped being ideology and became a direct consequence on the plate, in the outlet, in the tap. Economically, small signs appear and disappear. Some areas show a timid recovery. Certain businesses reopen. The dollar circulates more naturally. But this improvement is uneven. It doesn't reach everyone. It doesn't heal deep wounds. It's like putting bandages on a body that still needs surgery. This is not just a documentary about a country in crisis. It is a portrait about choices, consequences, and real people caught in the middle of it all. Venezuela is not a distant warning. It is a present reminder. A country once richer and now broken, where surviving has become routine, but where life, stubbornly, still insists on happening. Who turns almost nothing into dinner. Through the father who crosses borders just to send something back home. Through the young person who still studies, still dreams, still believes that tomorrow can be different. The world has seen Venezuela fall, but the world has not yet seen what Venezuela could become if it finally finds peace, dignity, and a path forward. Because there is a future that can still be rebuilt, not quickly, not easily, but honestly. One light at a time, one repaired street, one full plate, one open door, one returned hug. And maybe that is the real lesson. That a country is not only its leaders, or its currency, or its collapse. A country is its people, still standing, still loving, still fighting to live. And as long as there are people who refuse to give up, there is something stronger than collapse: hope.